So yesterday, were you there when the guy collapsed with a stroke? Did you see that happen?
I did.
You did. So everybody, it was right there in the crowd.
Right
when we
there.
got there, it was so crazy. You have ambulances, and I'm like, what is going on there? And then I realized someone is actually taking, ambulance ride to the hospital with a seizure. How bad was it?
Well, he's fine now. He's really. He just expressed. I actually got his number and we texted, and we have a good relationship with those owners, and so we're having dinner with them tonight. But yeah, I mean, I just said, "You good? Like, how are you?" And he goes, "Thank God I'm alive." And it's just like, it's kind of cool. It's like he's just got this place of I got to reassess and reflect right now because nobody was expecting that. It was his first one, so he's never had this before, and. Yeah,
so he was just standing, collapsed, and
I mean, the guy was sitting there with a beer, his cowboy boots and jeans, and just like this, falls back, clonks his head, beer goes flying, and everyone was like, "What the heck?" And then, thankfully, there were some people that medically trained, and that are just there for him. And I've never seen that before in my life, but it makes you certainly think and appreciate life, man. Yeah, so thankfully their whole team's back, and they're at an Airbnb near in the area. So he's just like relaxing. We're sending him a gift basket and all that just to kind of
wow,
make sure that they're good. It's crazy.
Those are awakening moments in life for sure.
Definitely.
Ryan, in my perception of you, you're a sales consultant. What do you do? Do you agree that you're a consultant, or what exactly you do?
Yeah, I'd say you're pretty close to that. Yeah, so I'd say I'm a growth and transformation coach. Really leading, creating a platform. So STG, Sales Transformation Group, the company. I've moved from Ryan, the sales, a personality guru, and really evolving it to more of a platform, with the goal of growth and transformation. Sales is definitely a key driver of that, and but we want to see personal growth and things like that too. But yeah, I mean, pretty close to there.
I want to take 1 minute and thank you, our sponsor of this video, SRS Distribution. SRS have been friends of Roofing Insights for a long time. They help us educate roofing contractors and elevate the roofing industry. Thank you, SRS, for your sponsorship. Thank you for everything you do for the roofing industry. If you are a roofing contractor and you don't have a solid partner in supply world, if you don't have a supplier, a good rep, who has your best interest in mind when it comes to buying experience, buying products, negotiating with the manufacturers, reach out to SRS. I also want to mention Limitless GPO Group. I'm going to put a link below in sponsorship with SRS. You can not only count on good discounts and good deals, but also good education and good networking group for any roofing startup. Cannot recommend SRS highly enough. Thank you, SRS, for all you do for us. Now let's get back to Ryan Groth and keep learning from the legend. How do you describe consulting business, like to someone? So let's say someone want to open a consulting business, what it takes, and how would you describe it in a few sentences?
Results. That's one word. You have to get people results. Results should be your marketing and should be your main focus. Everything should be around results. So if you look at consultants, they're truly only people who are creating a way for you to go from here to here. So wherever the here is, they need to be able to identify who that person is, where they're at, where here is, and then move them here. And the person, the consultant who wants to do that has to be incredibly effective at getting someone from here to here, and that's all they do, right? So that can evolve and expand and mature over time. But if someone wants to open a consulting business, my recommendation would be pick the niche, pick the pain point and the starting point and the end point, and just get laser focused on that, because it is incredibly difficult to grow a highly impactful business like this. I've seen so many guys stay stuck in, the 5 to 10 grand a month pace, and they're trading time for money and they never really grow to a really strong platform and make a big impact. It takes a tremendous amount of energy and work, and the right decisions need to be made. But the first step is not trying to be all things to all men, not trying to be, I'm a consultant and I'm going to help with all these things. Just pick a specialty and a niche and pick a problem, take them from A to Z as fast as cost effectively as humanly possible, and that's how you get started.
The biggest problem people have with the gurus are that they sell dreams. They show you like, hey, I can get you here. I always say that there's nothing that you can teach, but everything you can learn. And people don't understand it, but you can, two people can go to the same college, same university, and one will become a billionaire, another one will be homeless in 20 years. And the reason is because one did not learn. The school, the education, the teachers did not do the same because one was hungry and wanted, how many people start learning Spanish or like other language? And some people adopt and actually speak, and others, because if you don't want to learn English, like you can have a good teacher of that language, but if you don't have a desire, you will never be able to get. So do you agree that there's nothing you can teach, but everything you can learn?
Yeah, you can learn anything you want to learn. And that's the key of, I think, the entrepreneurs and the owners and the salespeople or the professionals who distance themselves from the pack, is they realize once I learn how to learn, it's game over.
But if I hire you, the problem I see with the gurus, like we have this perception, guru will come in my life. I hired Tony Robbins and I pay him $1 million, and now I'm going to be on the next level. And what I see is highly successful people, like I will drop 10, 20 grand on good coaching, and people are like, you did what? You paid 20 grand for that? But I can see, like it's one little thing that I don't know, like the other day I paid someone $2,000 for 30-minute Zoom, because I had a question about YouTube that I needed to make a decision. And I was debating, like, should I start another channel? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I'm like, this guy have 5 YouTube channels, million subs each. What's his time worth? I went, $2,000 for 30 minutes. I got my answers. Most people don't have that mentality.
Think about how long that would have maybe taken you in time and opportunity cost or whatever, just to figure that out on your own, right? So if you can see the value of, hey, this person knows how to get to where I want to be. They're going to answer questions, avoid pitfalls, and help me avoid those pitfalls. They've already made their mistakes. They've paid the price of tuition themselves if they are legit, right? Yeah. And
that's the key. If they're legit, there's a lot of not legit.
And here's how you know they're legit. Do they have results with people? And if they're not able to flood you with success stories, look, if you know them relationally and they're just starting out, that's one thing. But if this is somebody who's claiming to be, I am an absolute expert here, I am the number one this in the industry, you have to look at real-time results. And real results means like numbers, like give me the numbers, not just Ryan's a great guy, he's so nice. No, it's like, dude, this guy changed the game. Here's where I was, here's where I am now, and here's where I'm gonna continue to go as a result of this. So what you have is here's what happens when you get a guru or a coach. You're not just getting information, you're getting energy transfer, you're getting belief systems, I've paid more money just to be in the room, to look around the room to realize, oh my gosh, like that person's doing what? Like if they're doing that, I can do that. Me walking out of the room knowing that I can do that is worth the price of what I spent, not even the information I got, because now I have certainty, right? And I have confidence, right? And so I think that, I'm always spending, I literally spend 50 grand a year on myself. I have an executive coach right now. He's pouring into me. He knows my family. He spent a week at our house. He's doing marriage mentorship. He started and exited an insurance company, did mission work across the world. He's like in his 60s. He's a great mentor. I've had guys teach me online marketing. I spent 30 grand in their mastermind. It's just a no-brainer. And when you start to realize, like, Dmitry or Ryan is just one of many future mentors in my life, you're like, who's the next guy that I'm supposed to be engaged with, or a girl for this time? And they'll always be, if they're the right ones, cemented as a valuable contributor in this, in this thing you're building, right? It's a valuable ingredient in the cake you're baking or the soup you're making. Like, it's just all ingredients. Hey, one day, I know some people right now are listening to your channel and say, I remember Dmitry said this, but what about in 10 years? Maybe they found some other people, but you were always a part of their life, right? And I think that it's important for people to pay attention, because there's content everywhere, and the good ones who claim to have something make you pay for it because it's worth it, right? If you use it, it'll change your life or your business.
And what I learned too is free content or cheap content usually does not give people enough motivation. I can explain it, but when you give people something for free, like my best advice is on YouTube for free, people just don't value free. It's the weirdest thing. Like, I can go and drop the best, marketing guide, and say, guys, here's how you advertise your roofing business or construction business this year. Here's 20 channels everywhere.
Yeah.
People will watch it. Some, like 1-2%, will take notes, will actually do and follow and build a business on it. But other people ask the same question. I cannot tell you how many the same questions I get. Where do you get leads? I have 25 videos where to get leads, and they still asking.
Right.
They know the answer. They've seen information literally free. They just don't do it. But if they hire, if I say, well, I'm gonna tell you, you have to pay me $10,000. So now you're paying $10,000. I'm teaching you the same stuff that you could learn for free, but because you paid for it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a pain point, there's transactions, just like when you swipe the card, you don't have the cash, did not leave your pocket.
Yeah.
It's not that real. So I feel like when you share it for free, people don't value it. Like, it's weirdest thing for me.
Right.
I want to be good. Like, I want to, like, all my advice is free, almost to it. But it's weird.
Yep.
Let's dive down to your niche. So you're a sales coach. Your thing is just sales, right?
We've added a service department for roofing and some executive stuff.
Would you say that sales is your strongest suit?
65%. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. What's the average life shelf? I hate the term, but I have to apply it, of the sales rep. And I heard Heath Hicks talking today that on average, it's 1 or 2 years. Like, in your experience, how long do people last in sales?
Yeah, on average, like a guy you've invested into, probably 2 years.
What happened after? So, and why do people burn out, or what happens to them? Why it's?
I think here's what happens. I mean, by the way, like, most of my expertise is around the commercial sales space. So that's kind of how I started, is in commercial sales. So typically in commercial sales, we're advising, you're paying a salary plus, right? So it creates some more stability in that role. So commercial, you may see a longer life cycle than maybe a commission-based sales rep. But I think that the main factor is, there's a couple. One is they didn't hire or fire for core values. So, like, there's just the owner hasn't really identified who they're about, what their vision is, what's like the DNA of the organization, to really say, is this person a good fit for it, or should we be letting them go? So you should hire, coach, and fire to your core values. I think that's something you need to do. Also, I feel like once you are truly able to attract high performers, because you have systems, processes, a vision, your core values is clear, and you're a good leader. Like really good, solid, high-performing, quality people want to work for people they'd like to be like or want to learn from, right? So I think it's really important as leaders. Sales reps are falling off because they probably don't like the leadership. They don't like that the owner, it looks like he's spending all the money on himself. He doesn't like that his relationship with his family is tumultuous. He's like, I don't want to be around that. I'm trying to have a good family. You know what I mean? They don't like that they're maybe drinking too much. I mean, it doesn't feel safe. It's toxic, right? They don't like that the building looks like a mom and pop shop. They don't like that there's no vision and that there's no growth opportunity. So I think that there's a massive responsibility when you start bringing on people, that if you're going to create long-term winners and career-minded people who want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, that owner's going to have to do some real work. They're going to have to ask, why do I want to do this? How far do I want to go? What kind of atmosphere do I want to shape? And that's the kind of stuff that we think and care about that lengthens the life of a sales rep. But I mean, I was a person, and I lasted 8 weeks at a concrete restoration business before I got into all this. And this first step I was being in sales. I wore a button down. My first day at the job site with a tie, I had my iPad. I was ready to start making a list of property management companies, all this. So next thing you know, he's like, you should probably learn how to manage your jobs before you could sell them. He had no agreement plan, no commission, no software, no training, right? He's like,
what was the concrete company?
The concrete restoration down in South Florida, all the condos and stuff. Okay. So repairing those guys. And then he goes, oh, now that you've done that, you should probably really learn how to put the concrete, and treat the. And so now I'm like college educated, growth minded, married, ready to do real work and make some real money, professional athlete, who's been in a part of good organizations. Now I'm like throwing mud, and not that I'm over it, but I just knew what I was capable of. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, sorry about this, but I gotta go. Ain't gonna work.
And I get a lot of calls from students in my school, and people reach out. They start the business, and here's how typical roofing business owner think in this industry. They start the business, they create, brand identity, business cards, everything. Didn't build nothing yet. Like, you don't have, no process. You never train anyone. And then I'm ready to hire. Like, I'm ready, like where to find salespeople? People, like the first question there, because we have so many bad influencers who all they teach is, in this business, you just recruit sales reps.
Yep.
And it's pretty much your revenue. They build your empire. You go after the storm, you hire 10 sales reps, you give them folders with your logo on it, they knock at doors. Each one of them will bring you $1 million in sales. You have $10 million company. That's how easy it is. And they think that, if they are one of those 10 people, now they can go on their own, hire another 10. And it's so bad how easy people think it is to recruit a sales rep. Where do you recommend finding sales reps? And what steps business owner have to take before even his first sales rep? So you start the business, when are you ready to actually hire? Because people think, okay, I'm in business, I'm incorporated, people should work for me. When do you know that you're ready for the first sales rep?
This is a great question. And I'm glad you're asking, because I want to see people succeed, right? I'm not talking like have a good month and make a nice, have a good month. I'm talking like long term, right? Hopefully people want to have a good life, right? Like, want a long-term sustainable life that's going to be thriving, right? So one thing you need to do is, if you're a roofer and you don't know how to sell, you're going to automatically sell more because you're the owner. Mm-hmm. But take your ownership title out. Do you have sales skills, and have you ever sold? Because you're never going to be able to hold somebody accountable. Mm. You're never going to be able to coach them. You're never going to be able to lead them, never going to get anybody to respect you as a leader if you haven't done it yourself. Like, you got to get in there and do it. Like, if you're a roofer and don't say this, oh, I'm not a sales guy thing. Like, bro, you're an owner now. You better learn how to sell, because not only are you selling to roofing, you're selling people on your vision. Mm-hmm. You better become an incredible salesperson. So once you say I'm an owner, that doesn't mean you're all of a sudden some gangsta, with like, let me go. No, dude, you are just warming up. You may be a little jit right now. And what you need to do is start to say, I'm going to transform myself into a salesperson, into a marketer, into a leader, to a manager that happens to do roofing. Throw me in the widget of roofing, or windows or skylights. That doesn't matter. You need to learn that skill. Owner doesn't mean anything. You could be a terrible owner to work for. But if you start to become a salesperson, a sales leader that happens to know roofing, now that could take you, 2 quarters of sales cycles, bro. Doesn't mean like you need to spend 3 years doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, just know enough that when someone's in your organization, they feel excited. And use your CRM yourself. Because how are you going to know how to coach somebody to use a CRM if you're not using your CRM? So use the CRM.
So owner has to know everything what's happening within the company, have at least minimum skills in each department.
I think if they don't want to feel like they're a liability, because now they're going to have some owner or some manager who's done this before. Oh, I've built sales teams. They come in. How many times have you heard this? Some sales guy said he's going to come in and change my business. Next thing you know, he's taking money or whatever, and I'm not making any more money than when I started, and I had one guy with me, and you just hear all that. So, like, if you really want to make it, like long-term make it, because this market is an employee-friendly market. It's harder to get people to come work for you now. It's becoming more competitive. This industry is becoming sharper, bigger, stronger, faster than ever before. And people are seeing the money. I got private equity guys calling me, asking me to plug into my network so they can get a roofing company, get a platform, and throw all their magic sauce on it. Because you know what? That's going to make bad news for you and your market, little owner who doesn't know how to do business, because these guys do. These guys know how to do business. They got money. They got ads. They got sales processes. They're hooking up with the right stuff. They know it's not. They know it's a machine. They just got to build. They just need the right things. This industry is right for that stuff. So I would say if you want to attract some really solid people, have a nice vision, understand some good softwares, get the right platforms, use it yourself, even if it's for a year, 6 months. By the way, you're going to make a crap ton of money if you actually focus on sales, focus on administration and delegate operations and project management. And now you're like, dude, I got guys that come to me. They're like, yeah, I did like 4 million by myself. I have a ton of money. I'm doing great. Now I'm ready to grow a sales team. I just didn't really kind of define my sales system. I'm ready to do that. I'm like, well, good. At least if I'm a sales guy, I would want to work for you because you sold 4 million. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's something to really be paying close attention to. Have a vision. And then you also got to think in roofing, there's other business models, right? So you have insurance, right? You have door-to-door storm dependent, which is unpredictable unless you're in Dallas, Fort Worth or something. But even Denver, I mean, how many guys in Denver right now are telling us we haven't seen a storm in 3 years, bro? I mean, we know those guys. So what you got to do is you got to start adding some predictability to your business model. And the big thing that we teach is commercial, business to business, account-based relationship, revenue, which is service department revenue, repairing, replacing, extending the life of roofs, having long-term relationships with these multiple owners of multiple properties, and not just relying on this, because that'll offset things in the off season, and you create a resilient business model. Now, a sales guy is like, man, I'm crushing residential. Maybe he's a good fit for a commercial, and now he's going to help build that department. Well, now you're just giving him a better ladder in your organization. And so I think that the leadership is everything, man.
How long does it take to develop a good leader? So if you are a roofer or a sales rep, you've never owned a company and you're starting, like I'm talking about like zero leadership skills. I mean, we all have them. Like if you're born leader, you're born leader, but I'm talking about typical roofer who went on his own. How long usually is it? 1, 2, 3 years, lifetime? I mean, of course it's lifetime.
I think it depends how fast do they take action, try things, fail, make mistakes, learn, and how much do they invest into bringing leadership, coaching, and resources around them, right? I've seen guys that, come on, you know this, the guys who's been 20 years, he's been in the same market, he's never done more than 5 million, and he thinks he's,
I have guys who have never done more than $1 million in the same market.
Never
in
been
20
more
years.
than $1 million for 20 years.
And why is that? Is it stubbornness? Is it just mentality?
Mentality, what they define success
Limited.
as. It's
Not be able to delegate. I mean, when I talk to those guys, they would call me on a regular basis, and they're like, Dmitry, I'm ready to take it to the next level. I'm like, all right. Here's the step 1. I always break it down to the smallest baby steps. I give them homework. Like I'm a teacher. Like if you want my help, I'm giving you homework. Like we're gonna do a Zoom call today, and by next week you have to tell me did you do it or not. And I would say, okay, first step you have to take is you have to move out of your basement and actually get a shop. And they're like, why? Like how are you gonna attract talent? Like, where are you going to have a business meeting? And they're like, and they're not willing. So, okay, be you for the next 20 years. It takes simple steps, but they're not willing to.
What they have is a high-paying job.
Yes.
And that's it.
Amen. Thank you for saying that.
They don't have a business, man. They have a high-paying job.
Yep. And I actually want to elaborate on it a little bit more. Many subs don't have a business. Like people think that because they have LLC, if you're a subcontractor and you're watching this, it should be your self-awareness moment that you have to realize you're pretty much employee for roofing business.
Yeah.
It's just different type of employees. People think, okay, I go on my own, like I'm not working for hours, like, I'm not hourly employee, but you are. Like even if you have LLC, I mean, if you break down, when I start asking my subs how much money they make, I mean, you're talking about $50,000, $60,000 a year. and they could do more, but the thing is, they think they run a business. They work for the contract, he gives them jobs, but in reality, they're just employees, glorified employees. And business owners are glorified employees of their business. It's sad.
Yeah, and I think that it comes from a lack of true self-belief and what they believe is true. Many of them, their parents, because they own a business, their parents never made it out of high school, they think they're being successful, but they gotta just stop placing limits on themselves and start to really just let those break down and just kind of look around and say, what's possible? If that guy can do it, I can do it. The only thing that's different is your desire and commitment to change and grow and transform yourself. That's it.
I want to talk about education because, I went to college, I went to university. You graduated, what's your college degree?
Baseball. I was a recreation administration, because it's not a...
How did it help you in life? And do you give credit to your education later on? Obviously you went different direction, but did it help you? Because what I see is happening, we hate public education. We should. Education is not as good as they sell it to us, like your college and stuff. But what it did to me is I learned how to learn.
Yeah.
And if you love education, later in life, you'll figure out, roofing business. For me, when I started roofing business, figuring out CRM or QuickBooks or marketing was easy because I can read a book, I can pass the exam, I can, but what I see is roofers, often in construction workers in general, they're dropouts. They put a big cross on education. Okay, I don't need college. You don't need college, but you need education, especially continuous education. And that's why I love conferences. I would say, and I've been saying it for years, 2 days at a good conference, to me personally equals to 6 months in college. I learned so much. In 2 days, my brain is about to explode. If you implement, it's literally like going to college.
Yep.
Go to Facebook conference or Google conference. You will learn so much about Google. They're not going to teach it in college for the next 5 years.
Yep.
They can't catch up, keep up. So if you take your education to the next level, you can learn it. But I feel like the big cross that we're putting also in the future. Oh, here's the sales guru. I don't need that. Yes, you do.
Bro, even if you learn 10% from me, it's going to be worth so much. Dude, your conference was great. I loved it. You brought some great speakers. You brought a lot of people there. The room was packed. If they actually walk away with 10%, they're going to be twice as big next year and make twice as much money. It's very valuable. You have to stay educated and you have to stay sharp. And, I think one thing I'm learning is not everybody learns the same, right? And so, a lot of people learn on video now. Now that the next generation's been on video games So I learned because I was an athlete, I learned through kinetic. I'm a kinetic guy. So I need to feel you. I need to know and be around you. So I learn about you just by walking with you for a few minutes, how you carry yourself, the way you ask me questions, all that. We're learning about each other and I learn kinetically. So whenever I go to a mastermind, I'll spend a ton of money just to be with somebody because that helps me absorb information really fast because there's tonality, right? There's a lot that's happening. So I'm not a great reader. I'm very literate. It's not like I'm illiterate, but and actually don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm like, dude, don't forget the podcast. Let me just go to this guy's place for a day and I'm going to learn everything I need to know because I'm super good at asking questions and I'm right to the point and I know what I want. And then if it's not that person, I can pick it up through people that know that person, right? So since you told me you want to do an interview, I've been learning about you for the last 6 months. I've been asking everybody I know about you just to learn, right? I want to learn you and see what our relationship's like. And that's typically for me, but you got to know how you learn, right? Are you good with video, audio? You got to know yourself. Because not everybody, you hear about those kids who are gifted and they're in a classroom and they're
Some
bored.
people like
and they
to
think,
read.
oh, you're. So you got to know how you like to learn. But you gotta be an educated person through how you like to learn. And I think that what's happening in this industry, stuff that you're doing is super valuable. And you're gonna know that there's more than one teacher in life. You should listen to a lot of different teachers.
Absolutely. You're so athletic. You should have picked better sport than baseball.
Like
baseball
what? What's your sport? Hockey?
hockey would be good for you. I don't know. I just can't take baseball or golf seriously. I mean, for me, it's a good hobby. Like I'll play with my son baseball, but like for the rest of the world, not Americans,
Soccer.
we look at baseball as just like, yeah, soccer would be. I played soccer, basketball growing up.
There you go.
And we're like, what is that? And I've been on two baseball games. It's the most boring experience I have. Like, what are they doing? Why there's so many breaks? Why nobody's moving? That guy is boring, and all they do is just chewing gum because everybody's boring on the field too. Like, what the heck? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I get how hard it is to throw. It's like but it's, there's sports you don't understand. Like at the Olympic Games, how do you call it? Like I was looking at those, and I'm pretty sure it's good, but I can't imagine someone dedicated their life to exactly. How do you learn that? Like mopping floors? I don't know. It's weird.
I can see where you're coming from. I mean, my wife's starting to warm up to it. It's but yeah, basketball. I played football and baseball. That was my dad played, and he played basketball from Indiana. But I never got on the team. I never tried. I played just rec league, gym, and I regret it because that's a game that's a good game. Basketball is a good game.
Basketball is very good.
And not gonna lie, maybe it's like my age and where I was from, but we always thought soccer players were a little, and we're like, so now I'm getting more appreciation. So
it's a European thing.
Yeah, it's like the short shorts, and that was in the 90s, and everyone was wearing like Jinkos, and so I've grown a much deeper appreciation for soccer. But what I need to do, bro, is I need to go to like the UK or England and like watch some games. Then I'll get fired up. I'll start, wearing the shirt.
I'm a big fan of like World Cups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I've been in Brazil in 2014 at World Cup, Rio de Janeiro, a huge stadium.
You went there?
Yeah,
electric.
It was. So I'm from Siberia. I have never played on an actual field, so it's indoor soccer or because we didn't have stadiums.
The weather and
infrastructure was not there, so I've never watched game in my life like at a stadium. Like I watched since I was 7-8 years old. I watched every World Cup, so like to the final, like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night. I knew all the stars, everything. I've never been in game, so moved to United States, and the World Cup was coming in Brazil, and I told my wife, babe, like, I think I want to go to Brazil for World Cup.
Wow.
So my first game ever, it's actually when my country plays Belgium, Russia, Belgium, Rio de Janeiro, like so many fans, so many picture flag, like
just the passion and the nation.
I mean, I dressed up. It was 5 days. I don't think I slept for 5 days in Brazil.
Oh my gosh.
So the crowd, the energy, like you're talking about thousands of people in the street. It's celebration for 30 days. It's like because it's elimination. Like Germany's out, or there's like we're moving on, or it's just the whole thing. So like.
We don't have that in the U.S. like that.
No, you don't.
Not like that.
No, you don't.
We need to get that. I mean,
you have Super Bowl. It's a good one-day party, but
not
soccer,
like
it's like 30 days. It's like
when I was in South Florida, a very international area. I have Brazilian friends, I had South African. Bro, I went out there and tried to play soccer with them. I busted my ankle kicking a ball. I'm like, I'm from here up. I'm good, but my foot-eye coordination wasn't there. I was like, man, these guys, how smooth they work it, and like the kicking, and I was like, I could play goalie. I'm a big guy, But no, I definitely appreciate it. I think every athlete needs to play multiple sports because you just get, kind of one way, and it's good. We're definitely appreciation for that.
Where's the best place to find a sales rep these days? What do you recommend?
What type of sales rep? Just give me a
residential sales rep, like for a roofing company.
Yeah, I'd say definitely not another roofing company. So I'd say start there.
That's what everybody's doing. Everybody just wants to recruit from competition. I think it's like the worst thing.
I don't think you should do that. Yeah, I mean it's nice, but like you want character, you want the skill, the people skill, and you want the desire, right? The roofing. I mean, come on, like you could teach anybody this part, right? They don't need to know this to be successful. It's more like, are they successful people? So
I want to pause there. Comment below if you have to know roofing to sell roofing jobs. I want to know what you guys think. Or maybe vote with likes, dislikes. Like if you think they have to know roofing, and dislike if you think they don't.
Yeah. I would say, this is a good question. Somebody who's like especially if it's 1099 commission, it's like they hunt. Somebody who's kind of used to like a freelance environment, somebody who's in transition. So somebody who's I'm biased. I think athletes are the best salespeople because they're competitors, they're disciplined, they played in teams, they're not selfish, they're not lone wolves. So somebody who's...
I would add to that, not only athletes, but like gym guys, like people who go to the gym. Performers, yes. Yeah. I mean, athletes too, but both, like that group of people, like I see so many Texas companies who built around.
Bro, they're just like, they're all jacked up.
But you know why? I actually know 2 companies around here that they have a whole bunch of Lifetime Fitness guys in one, and I think, I forgot another gym, another company, because it's they multiply, like they have that culture, that community, and once one's out, they just keep recruiting guys, and those they just build different.
I definitely see it, and I would comment on that, like, because they care about how they look, they represent you well, they care. I mean, they may be insecure as all get out, that's okay.
But they're consistent.
Yeah, they know that it takes consistent activity and work, and so anybody who's got a track record of that is somebody that would be successful. And so I love the gym recruiting, so I'm glad you commented that. Team sport athletics, anybody who's performed and knows that it takes training, discipline, took doing things that I didn't feel like doing, right? It took doing things that are hard, out of our comfort zone. You know what they also like? They like to be led. Mm-hmm. Like they like to feel like they're being led. So like if you're gonna recruit salespeople, you're gonna say, hey guys, here's what we're gonna do now, and they feel like they're connected to a leader. You got some guys who never been led by somebody, never worked hard, just clocked in, clocked out. And you know how it is in sales. It takes you selling people on you all the time. Mm-hmm. And so when you're in sports or being recruited or competing for a starting spot or you're working out, you're selling people on you all the time. And if you're doing that, man, you already have the muscle to know how to read people and know how to like navigate conversations and how to bring and show up energetically in a way that can make an impact and help you be successful.
Love it. Talk to me about your clients, your companies. What sizes of businesses you work with? I know you have some really big, and I know you have a smaller one.
Yeah, I mean, as we're widening, obviously, we're growing. We want to help as many people as possible. Sure. But we find that we're getting people who have the most success, and they're like, I would say in roofing, if they're doing 5 million, that shows me that, look, like their owners was able to get to 5 million. They have some software in place. They're, they just don't want to like build the entire sales system themselves. They maybe have a couple of reps. So we have a lot of guys there, a lot of 5 million. And then we have a lot beyond that. We have some under that. No, very rarely are we really helping people that are doing less than $1 million. I mean, they got to be pretty like forward thinking. Like, hey, I started this 6 months ago. I'm already at $1 million, and I want to work with you. It's because they're already experienced in business and they know that what I'm going to bring is going to be very helpful for them. But typically, we're dealing with somebody who's that kind of level, 5, 10. We have a lot in the 20s and 30s. I mean, if someone's a market leader, we're probably already worked with them or having a conversation because we're kind of, my whole thing is I came out of the top of the market in a niche, in the market of South Florida. So I came out of the number 2, 3, number 1, 2, 3 of that market. So when I come into consulting, I was coming from this place of, I'm already working with one of the best in the country. So I started attracting the top type of in each market. And they knew that I was young and early, so they knew they were going to get the best out of me early because I went to their offices and stuff like that. But as we've been able to kind of automate a lot of what we do and bring a really solid course platform and make it more affordable, but still we're not cheap. We're definitely like deluxe levels, just like you would hopefully want to be with your business. You sell value. When I'm talking to the roofer, sell your value. But yeah, I mean, a lot of guys under 5 million and up for sure.
Give advice to roofing retail companies who are trying to get in commercial. Very popular niche. Everybody's like, well, you have to diversify. And I noticed like in the top 100, you have a lot of companies who are strictly commercial, strictly residential. So I never recommend people to even get in something that they don't understand they have passion for. But at the same time, we do get a lot of requests where people say, well, how do I get in commercial? How do you answer that question?
First thing is, make sure I'm a marketing guru for sure, but I'm more of a sales coach. I'd say make sure your brand doesn't look like, if a business looks at your brand, are they gonna like turn and say, who are these guys? So like, make sure it doesn't look too residentially in your brand. Like make sure it looks and feels a little bit more professional, right? So like take a look at your brand, update it, and then make sure that your website reflects that you do service, repair, maintenance, preventative maintenance, have a program for extending the life of roofs, because if you're gonna get into commercial and you're gonna just try to go for the re-roofing, like it's gonna be a lot of long sales cycles, a lot of patience, and then the sales guys, if they're on the same comp plan as residential, they're gonna continue to do that because it's their bread and butter and they don't wanna, move away and spend the time that it takes. So what you need to do is brand and then put your sales focus, and compensation should reflect this, around service. So why? Well, think about it. Like, does Job Nimbus charge $100,000 for every new customer? No, what do they have? They have a free trial, right? They get a free trial comes in, they get some users, and then the users grow, and then they grow with the account. So not that you do repairs for free per se, but what you do is you have a low barrier to entry, right? Because if you're an owner and you have 25 buildings in a market, I'm pretty sure you don't want to just give me like $5 million to do all your re-roofs. You don't even know me, right? So it takes a lot of trust in building relationships. So the brand, the sales experience, it should be like, how do I make your roof last longer, right? So branding, sales structure, compensation structure, conversations, and sales strategy should go into, let me extend the life of this roof, right? And so the sales process should support that. They should start to do repairs. They get the emergencies done, the remedial. Now they have a proactive preventative maintenance plan, 3-year contract. Now they're getting, and the margins as well are gonna be 50 to 75%. So not only
On repairs,
so not only is your barrier to entry there, your sales cycle is there, your closing ratio is higher, and your margins are good. So then you add on a professional salesperson who knows what they're doing with a really good brand, they got a good shot, right? So now you're gonna go out there and do service, do repairs consistently, and how you accelerate that process is adding more, some marketing dollars, or potentially adding more sales reps, building more relationships, and being skilled at it, right? Because you got 2 people going after commercial, and one will do, $2.5 million in year 1 and 5.5 in year 2, and one will do $300,000 in year 1 and $800,000 in year 2. Skill. It's all about sales skill. Different than the residential. So that's why we have such an important sales training around that. All that to say, lead with service. 65% of owners would rather do the re-roof with somebody who's already been servicing them. The chance of you doing a re-roof is going to be, 30 to 45%. If you go right into commercial and you're responding to the invitations to bid, the new construction, which everyone thinks that's how they're getting into commercial, they're going to bid $5-10 million, be bid. It's a low number, low price. They don't get the job, they give up, or they land one, they didn't price it right, they lose their butt because it's super big. Focus on service, it's easier to manage, it's easier to control. And then as you earn the right, you can start to have production crews, and just think long term. This isn't a sprint, but you can accelerate it with obviously the right help and accelerate the learning curve. But the guys who are doing commercial right, their closing ratio on service is north of 50, sometimes 75%. Their margins are great. They have recurring business, consistency in their relationships, and they're on the roof all the time, building relationship, building brand awareness with that client, building trust to do a good job. Re-roof time comes, who are they going to work with? They're going to hopefully want to give you at least the last look, right? And then that's where it pays off, because you're doing your margins are higher. It's called private negotiated work. Now you're in the 30, 35. Insurance guys, or sometimes if there's insurance under commercial, doing 45% sometimes. And $100,000, that's 30 grand. $500,000, boom, that's 150 grand. That's some good money. But if you start to go into the new construction bid world, you're going to be super low margin, high risk. It's going to be scary. I don't recommend it.
Love it. And I would say it's also fair to residential, to so many guys would not do repairs. Repairs the same thing in residential. You can do a lot of repairs. It's, you get a lot of more calls. You build more relationships, more reviews, brand builds faster, higher profit margin. The same 100%. Thing applies. On the commercial side, give advice to someone who've never sold big number. I get a lot of calls where people get scared. Like,
Yeah.
So let's say you're around $2-3 million company and you get to bid on a job that's, let's say $5 million, $4 million, $2 million. First of all, you don't have portfolio to back it up that you've done it and you actually have capacity. So how do you hold yourself and how do you position yourself in front of the board meeting?
Yeah.
You have 5 people to pitch yourself.
Yeah.
Questions will be asked.
Yeah.
How many you've done? You've
Yeah.
done 0. What do you do?
Lean on your manufacturer you're going to work with, because you may not have done it, but they have with their products. So I would start there, get some confidence, maybe bring them in with you, right, for the first few.
Love it.
Hold yourself strong, and just look. When you look at the actual numbers at the bottom, you're like, dude, I'm only going to make this much. I can make this much. You're realizing this isn't a lot of money. The contract looks like a lot of money, but you maybe realize this isn't that much money. When you start to realize there's not that much money, you're like, okay, this is going to be something we're going to stub our toe at. You could be pretty sober-minded pretty quick. Don't get yourself too big dollar signs. Like, it's going to go fast, and you're going to learn some things. You're probably not going to make a ton of money on this one. And if you do that, you're not going to sound too excitable, like a bubbly little kid for the first time in a board meeting. You'll be like, okay, I want to make sure we got all our dots, crossed and I's dotted. And so all that to say, you're going to need a lot more of those to really transform your business anyway. And this is going to cost some money and time and mistakes. So don't get too excited now, And money is just money, right? That number can go into a salary real fast, and go into marketing real fast, and go into a new truck real fast. It can pay off debt real fast. So the money comes real quick. It's not going to just sit there and make you rich. Oh, look at this new job. I'm going to be rich. Yeah. Like, you're really ill-informed, brother. You got a lot to think about.
Love it. How do you train sales rep who's money-driven? I see a lot of sales guys who getting in the game and they go to this mansion and all they see is dollar signs. They're like, oh, they have money, I'm gonna give. And I always tell people that it doesn't matter what they have, it's what do you provide. Like, to me, I don't care if it's $1 million property or $50,000 property. My job, like my price cannot increase per square, let's say, just because they have more money. And I see so many sales guys make this mistake. They assume that rich people will pay them more, when in reality, rich people usually...
They're better with their money.
Better, cheaper, will negotiate.
They're sharper at buying.
Exactly. Yeah. So what do you advise to, how do you train money-driven salespeople to sell to rich people?
Good question. I mean, we like to teach having a healthy level of skepticism. So when you have a good sales process and it's more about what happens at the beginning and not skipping to the end, we teach them to stay in the moment, right? It's like what we like to call that happy ears. It's like, oh, it's a referral, or oh, it's a rich guy. So we like have in our videos like this big old like ears, he looks goofy. It's like, that's what you look like when you get super excited, because what you're thinking about is what's gonna commission check's gonna be. What you're not doing is you're not staying in the moment. You're not connecting with them. You're not asking them the right questions. You're not showing them that you really care. You're not making sure they're really qualified. You're not getting both decision makers there. You're not seeing what they really want. You're missing opportunities. You're thinking too like short term. And instead, like, we teach to detach yourself from the outcome. So like, that's what so much of what we do is some personal transformational work, so that they come showing up, knowing what they want, knowing their why, but not thinking just about the money. We're like, hey, the money is a vehicle to this bigger thing that you want. And so then when they start to realize that they have happy ears, they start to feel a little convicted around like selling within our process, because they know that they're skipping steps. Skipping steps leads to think it overs or low closing ratios. That leads to lower sales, and longer sales cycles, low closing ratios leads to less money for you or less success, which leads to, and we just take them down this treacherous, like long-term path in their mind. They're like, okay. No, I'll stay with the process. And so they start to, kind of buy into more of a consultative, connecting, relationship-oriented sales process. And that takes some inner work, and we work on that stuff.
How long does it take to train someone brand new in a new industry like construction, roofing, special trade? Someone, let's say you work at a restaurant today, you get recruited to work for a roofing company. Before they can go on their own sell with no supervision, What's the process? 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'd say 30 days. Probably,
30 days?
Probably relatively on average, yeah.
From that 30 days before they go without supervision to sell, how much product training, like actually like trade training, should it take?
I think that they should always start with company culture training, sales process training, technology training, and then the products should come after that, you know, because if they're connected to the vision, they know their process, they have the goals, it's a shared goal, they have a training plan, they're doing some ride-alongs, they're going to learn from osmosis, go through the videos, and then now you just give them the actual product training. Now they're a good weapon to use for the company. Now they're a force. But if you give someone product training too soon, they become just product pitchers, product pushers. I don't know about you, but like, if I'm buying something, I don't need to know roofinese. Like, I don't need to know everything about it. Like, I'm not that type of buyer. Most people maybe aren't, but we don't need to know every single. I don't know if you heard this before, but like, remember Charlie Brown? Like, you hear the parents, like, you know, the parents in Charlie Brown cartoons, and they said like, womp 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 womp.
Oh, good grief.
They don't, you know, you guys don't watch Charlie Brown over there. So, but basically it's like it's an American show when we were a kid.
I'm pretty sure I watched it. It just doesn't ring the bell.
Most people I think will know what I'm talking about. But all that, it's like you start to not hear what they're saying because they're talking a language you don't know, like this and the flashings and this and the blah, 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 blah. And it's way more about, to be successful in sales, maybe we're at connecting, way more about asking the right questions.
So if they trust you, they're going to buy from you.
Yeah, you got the shirt. You're supposed to be a roofing expert. You don't need to demonstrate it on every call and bore me. I just need to know, can you help? And do I believe you can help? Mm-hmm. And believing that you can be helpful is so much more about, does the salesperson, did they take time to understand why they want to buy? When that's being discussed, it's less about how you're going to help me buy or what you're going to do, and it's more about me just knowing the fact that you ask me the right questions and you understand my situation and where I want to be helps me believe you're already somebody I should trust. And then if you obviously, know enough about roofing to answer a couple of questions, I think that's a good part, but not the only part.
Not soliciting signs. Knock or not to knock?
No, don't knock.
Why do you think so many roofers take special pride in knocking the doors when they even see like no roofers allowed, like something like crafted specifically asking not to knock, and they would take a picture? I see it in the groups all the time. Not to knock, and everybody's like, definitely knock, definitely. Like, what is it? The pride? Is it the ego? Is it like what is?
Maybe it's like a lack of an abundance mindset. Maybe they don't believe that there's enough opportunity, and so they feel like I don't believe there's enough, and there's not going to be enough, so I got to just basically, to me, I'm not going to listen to what I'm supposed to do because I got to do what I have to do.
You don't think it's like I work the hardest and I go extra mile, like I'm a go-getter. I go places where nobody's willing to go.
Yeah,
like,
maybe. I think I could see that. That's a good question. I don't know. It's probably whatever their owner is telling them. What do you think? Do you think their owners?
I don't think for liability reasons owners tell them to do it, because I don't think you can. Like you can tell a person to. I mean, if the owner is leading by example, yes. But I don't think for liability reasons many owners would say, go do something what you should not do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I see the pride. I see, like Lee Haight, for example, he run ads with him being slapped.
Get off my property now! Sorry. I'm calling the cops. No problem. I was saying, get out my goddamn gate!
He takes pride in it. Like for some reason, like if you pissed off a customer, For me, it's a no. Like customers, everything. Like their privacy, their home, it's sacred.
Like it's almost like a badge or something you're saying? Or like, do you think it's like, I got a door that I was like one day that it said no soliciting and I still got it. I mean, I don't think that making customers unhappy and then like getting reviews, I just don't think it's a good look.
I don't think so either.
It's a bad look.
Good. What's your take on using the religion in the sales process? Like when someone want to tell you from the first minute that they're Christians and they have a God, principles in their business.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. I personally have experimented with it because I have faith. And I think it's actually I've lost deals because I was like thinking maybe they had it, and like I was building rapport. And I think it helps build some degree of trust. But I think if you really get experience and you realize like over time, I think it's naive to me to really think it's gonna always work, because it could build some trust, but it could also backfire. The reality is like your actions as a Christian or religious person, just because you say it, you got a fish on your truck. I mean, your actions, I've seen people expect things for free or cheaper because they're a Christian and you're a Christian and all that stuff. And I just think it's, I would rather, and I do this more, I prefer to be a lot more timely with it. And maybe when there's somewhat of a personal rapport or relationship that is fostered naturally, but not like in the sales process aggressively. I mean, I think if you're gonna get a church, right? I think you probably should, you can mention that you're a Christian and because you're a church and they want to probably give to the religious member, but I think using it all the time is, it's going to backfire on you. You could be in the heart of Texas, but all of a sudden you have like a very anti-religious person that you're thinking is going to help you with, and then it shuts it down. I also think that it could be a setup. I don't know. I just think it's something you got to think about. Like, I'd rather just be professional. I'm not saying keep it to yourself, because I think we should try to shine your light brightly. But I think that it can sometimes be manipulative and cause even more distrust in your faith or the people who represent that faith, because sometimes your actions aren't going to always be perfect. And
do you think it's also raises the bar to the point where you will not even be able to meet, because no one's perfect? In my experience, every time someone does that or says that in the beginning to sell, later when something goes wrong, that's the first line I would like, I thought you were Christian, or I thought,
Yeah, and maybe they don't even say that, but they're thinking it.
Exactly.
Right? And now they're questioning the very God you're representing, and then maybe it's not working all the time. So my point is, you got to really be legit and like have the character, do the right things, make sure you're living your life. I think there's a lot of new Christians who get excited, or new people into faith, they get excited about their faith, and then the church they go to is like, you got to tell everybody, and so they start to tell everybody, and then they're telling in their business, but maybe the inner work or the character building or the lifestyle shift and the change hasn't really matched up to that. So I think it's more about, make sure if you're gonna do it, you got to really be like above reproach in every area, because then you could actually negatively affect that person when maybe, cause here's another thing. What's the real motive? Are we really trying to get them to know God, or are we actually trying to get them to buy from me? Mm-hmm. And using God to buy from me? Ask yourself that question. Like, are you really thinking about that person's eternal life? Or do you just really want to use the name of Jesus to get more trust, to try to get that roofing job because you're just worried about yourself?
Biggest mistakes sales reps make, especially newer ones?
They think that sales they're going to be able to keep their lifestyle as is to be successful. If you're getting into sales, you better be ready to make some sacrifices. If you're going to be, I think too many sales guys are like, yeah, I'm going to come in and I'm going to like clock in, clock out, put this in. And what they don't realize, it's like a sport, dude. Like, if you're going to be the best, you got to earn it, and you got to put the work in. And I think a lot of sales reps don't realize that, like, dude, if I'm going to make, 100,000 or sell $1 million, I got to become a different person than I was when I was, making 35, 55 salary or hourly rate or whatever. I think what's got to happen is I think the biggest mistake is they underestimate what it really takes to be successful, and they don't start that process early. And now they're looking back and they didn't make as much money as they thought or whatever. And then if they are able to make money, which I know some companies make a lot of money, their goals are too small and they don't have enough of a vision to let that money help them with their life. They have all this extra cash, and then they stop working and they spend it on this and that, and it starts to, so I think that not having a big enough plan that money can funnel into, and then early on not having a realization and underestimating how much work it's going to take to really get this thing going and make it a really great success.
The best sales commission structure you've seen or recommend?
Best for who?
For both parties.
Yeah.
The most fair. What's fair? Are you a fan of splits?
No, I'm more of a fan of percentage of gross profit based on the type of job. So like repairs should be a higher percentage of gross profit because there's more numbers of them and there's more margin in them. And then I think that for the company and the sales rep long term, it's a salary, but eventually they're living off of repair and replacement commissions. You know, that's going to give them a fair life and help them have a mortgage. And, you know, if they're going to make more money, then maybe they either incredibly great producers. But I think there should be a percentage of gross profit. And I don't think that going north of 25, 30 is really great for the company on overall compensation as a percentage of the gross profit that they're bringing into the business. I think that 20% is a pretty good number. And I've seen down to less than 10, which is super company friendly, but they have an amazing brand, it's third generation, and you know what I'm saying? There's a lot more going on that makes that a different, you know, kind of compensation plan. So it does depend on like the growth and the stage of the business and how much branding they have. But I like percentage of gross profit. And here's another reason. I like that because now they're not thinking about, let me just get the deal in and then, oh, do you like change order later? Or, oh, I forgot to throw this, so you throw this in. And then now you have these experiences where the owner's like, oh my gosh, like why didn't you know, include that in the original sales contract? And they're like, oh, and so now they have this like tough relationship where they're thinking about gross profit the whole time. They're thinking about upsells and upgrades because you're going to make more margin on your upsells and your add-ons than you are the core base bid, right? So I think percentage of gross profit's typically really good, and depending on how healthy and strong your business is, you can do a base pay or a draw to support that, and obviously what business model you have.
Have you have one of your clients fail and go out of business yet? Like someone you coached?
One.
What happened?
Well, he's a mess. This guy was a disaster. So yeah, he's working for he's working for a coatings company as like a sales rep. And I saw him at the IRE and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. He's like, hey, good, what's going on? And so I've never seen that. That was a rare thing. I don't know what happened. I mean, the guy obviously did some work, but I just think it was a level of maybe competence or commitment. He was a pretty messy guy. You know what I mean? You know those guys are just, their life's he's in his 40s or maybe 50s. Maybe he hasn't ever really been successful. I think he was a few years in and he was a sales guy for a long time or an estimator somewhere else. So he's never really, I don't think he was a good owner. Yeah, business person.
Why do business owners fail?
I think failing as in they go out of business? Great question. I think that when they start a business, it's going to be an ATM machine. They're going to have a ton of money and they spend it like, they need to keep their wallet tight, man. They need to they don't save enough money. Because you know how it was, bro? The first time we had to pay taxes and you had a great year. Whoa. You're like, I'm about to write the IRS how much money? So they underestimate that. They don't get a bookkeeper. They don't have a good CPA that's telling them what to do. They don't put enough money in the bank. They spend it too fast. They start buying all these nice clothes. Next thing you know, they're buying, a brand new truck. And I think that the cash, man, they run out of cash. And it's because they're foolish and they're not sales focused enough. That's my thing, is like, if you could feed the beast and feed the machine and you got a sales solution, you're always gonna be able to fix other parts of your business because you have consistent revenue coming in. I mean, bro, you tell me it starts to give you heartburn and you lose sleep at nights when you got no AR, you got very little pipeline, you've already committed to some overhead, now you got a marketing agency, now you got software, now you got this. And you see people sweating over the smallest overhead now because they're freaking out. It's because, you're not living in a $6,000 a month lifestyle as a salesperson or a $3,000 a month lifestyle as a whatever. You're living now what's the business is a 15, 20, 25, 30. Now, I mean, I'm over here living in a much different business overhead And if it wasn't for sales, and it wasn't for having a cash position, it wasn't knowing how ROI works, and when you put something in, you're going to get something out, fear will paralyze you. And so I think it's the reason why they fail is many reasons. They don't have enough cash, they spend too much money, they're not sales focused enough, and they don't know how to think ROI, right? Hey, so, I mean, I'm looking at my film producer. I mean, you have yours and mine's here. I know that I pay him and the new guy we just hired. We have better content. We have better course products. We have this. It's going to pay us back because now we're going to deliver a better customer experience. You know, to me, it's like a drop in the bucket if it works. And you got to just, you know, start to, as a business owner, believe that when you invest into your business, it will pay back. But when you just invest in your home and that doesn't really help your business, or you invest in your car, does that really help your business? Or you invest in a vacation, is that really, maybe if your family's on the rocks and you struggle, but your family needs to be committed to these early stages, keep your money tight, put a bunch away, and give them, say, hey, sweetheart, hey, husband, whatever, here's where we're going. It's gonna be a tough couple of years. Put your head down and work like an absolute machine and stop doing the other things that you used to do when you were an employee. Don't do poker nights. Stop volunteering at your church for a little bit. You love the church, I love you guys, but hey, I got a business to build or else I'm not gonna be able to give you any money. So you guys want me to give you money, then I'll talk to you in 3 years. I gotta put my head down. You know, drive a decent vehicle, right? You know, do what you gotta do to just focus. And it's less about the money even, it's about where you put your time. You know, so, I mean, I know you didn't build this YouTube channel in 1 year. It's been years of commitment, right? And sacrifice. You're building your business. These guys got to do the same thing. And no one's going to build it like the owner is. So that's what I think. That's why they fail.
Wow. We're coming to the end. The last question. Give me personal advice. Like me.
You?
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting to know you still. So I'm getting to know you still. I would say, continue inspiring people with your personal story. Keep doing it. I like your authenticity. So keep that up. I think that really speaks to people, makes them feel connected to you. I think the rawness, you know, I've seen the tears and I hope they're real, you know, the tears on your channels and stuff. And I think, you know, being honest with your journey, it helps people. And it also shows them that you're not like this untouchable, perfect guy. Like you're making mistakes. And I think you're inspiring a ton of people, man. You got the workout, the health stuff at your conferences, you're doing it, you're doing all that stuff. Keep, you know, demonstrating that you're human, but you're authentic and inspire people. I think you're inspiring a lot of people. And then any personal critical feedback would just be like, bro, like, you know, part of that is your family. I think a lot of people wonder who you are, what's your family like, what's your wife like, what's your kids like, you know, we probably want to hear more about that. And I think I'm seeing some of that recently, and, you know, keep that up because I think it gives people confidence in you that you're you're not just like working, and your wife is like with the kids and nobody knows who they are. Like you're public, bro. Like everybody sees you. So it's really cool to start to see that part of you for the long-term trust in who you are, you know. But I think you're doing a lot of really good things. I think you're leading from the heart. I think you're really trying to do the right things for the industry and living from a place of integrity. And as you're making bold moves, it just inspires people. So keep it up. Keep being bold.
Thank you.
Taking massive action.
Appreciate it. The only thing I want to comment on the family is, as a public figure, like you have choices. Like, you know, make your family part of it or not. And my wife hates publicity. She hates what this brings. Like a few times I would post a picture even with the kids, and actually it's scary. Like I would publish a picture like with my son, and I have like random stupid comments like, you know, from creeps. You know?
Really?
Oh yeah. Like it's just, you know, I have 5 beautiful kids, but they're so vulnerable, and you know, when you see a random person saying that, or he's cute, or like you don't know how to react because the person, like, you know, it's not your friend.
Some pedophiles out there, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and most people, like, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah,
like it's hard to filter. So for me,
that's a good point.
Like I'm very careful how much of my kids I put. Like, I mean, They are coming to the office. They are in the videos. My wife travels with me every once in a while. I'll post, like people know every once in a while I post, but I have very big limit on how much I'm willing to share.
Yeah.
I'm paranoid that someone will kidnap my child, like literally, like it's just,
yeah.
because it happens. And when you're a public figure, you're a bigger target for everything. People literally can figure out where I live just like that. It's not that hard, and
right.
you know, like
that's a good point, you know.
And I travel a lot, so I want to protect my family.
And you're out in your way. Yeah, I think it's different because you got to fly like 5,000 miles to get to my house right now, so it's gonna be pretty hard to do. They got to be pretty committed, but no, it's a good point, man.
That's
it's inspiring, you know.
That's the only reason you know I don't do, and I love my kids. Like I do a lot of stories, a lot of fun stuff, but I'm trying to be careful with it.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap it up. Can I get a commitment to answer questions and comments?
Ure. Yeah.
So guys, if you have a question for Ryan, comment below. He will answer. Give it a like if you enjoyed this interview. It's impossible to cover. We could sit here for a few more hours. We actually took a break because camera was overheating. So it's probably going to be 90 minutes or so. Obviously, I had more questions to ask. If you have questions, Ryan will answer them in comments below. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Next one, you got to come to Hawaii on the next one.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like. If you did like it, ask Ryan a question below. He will answer. I will answer too. You engage with us. We answer all our comments, all our information lower. Let us know what you think and what more of you want to see on our channel. See you guys in the next video.